Hey everybody, this is Michael Jake with Local Mentor. Just wanted to shoot a quick video for you. I am working a deal right now, and this is a long-term creative seller financing deal. Property is a tired rental. Needs a good bit of work, but the tenant's been in there like 10 years. Tenant pays on time. Although once this tenant moves out, property is definitely going to need some fixing up. For me, it's got good bones. It's in a good area. It's got the right amenities that I'm looking for in a property that I would keep longer term. But basically, when I submitted my offers, three of the four offers I made were all seller financed. One was the highest price was zero down with just payments. Then I made a little bit of debt, a little lower price with a little lower price with a little bit of money down, and then a little lower price again with a little bit more money down, and then I did an all cash offer. And in this particular case, the seller agreed to and liked the no money down deal. So, go figure. But when I sent the offer over the first time, he initially emailed me back and countered me, saying that after 5 years he would like a balloon on the note. And I said, hey, I totally get that. You want to get paid off as quick as possible, but let me ask you this: what if? And before I go into those what if scenarios, what I'm trying to accomplish here is not back myself into a 5 year wall where I've got to do something. Now, the terms I set on the owner financing were pretty good terms. The property is about a 160 property, fixed up, although it does need significant fix up. My purchase price was $115,000, which in itself might seem not like a crazy good steal, but the terms were basically 900 per month until paid, meaning there's no interest in that. So each month, when I make a $900 payment, $900 comes off of the amount I owe him. And based on the math, at about 5 years, I'm going to owe him $61,000, and probably not going to be an issue. But I don't want to back myself into a corner where I got to write a $61,000 check if I haven't resold the property at that point. So what I explained to him on the phone after he said that is, listen, I understand you want to get paid off as much as I do, but I said, look, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen in the market. I don't know how much farther it's going to go down, if at all, before the market recovers. And I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm not going to meet all my obligations to you. So let me ask you this. If I were able to, and mentally in my mind, when he sent this email, I took a little bit of time to think about it. And I'm like, well, what if I gave him like just a $5,000 principal payment? That would probably buy me another year. Then I'm thinking, well, I don't really like to write a $5,000 check if I can avoid it. So, what would be a perfect world if I had to come up with that 5,000? Where would it come from? And it would basically come from, one, probably the tenant being able to pay that through escalated rents in about 5 years. We should be getting a little bit more rent on it. And two, I wouldn't like to pay interest on that 5,000 if I were borrowing it. So invariably, I didn't do any of those things. And the first scenario I threw out to him did work, and that was after that year, I pay you an additional $100 per month. That would obviously go toward the principal, but every month now, instead of paying $900, now I'm at $1,000. And then if I haven't sold it after that year, then it escalates to $1,100. Then it escalates to $1,200 per month. And invariably, the worst case scenario to me is I may have a little bit of negative cash flow, but it avoids me having to come up with a significant balloon payment, into the future. Now that also it took my payback and shrunk it. Although any future cash flow I'm going to get at that point, I'm gonna chisel that down significantly. But at the same point, I'm building equity a whole lot quicker. So, and the way it broke down is basically 113 payments, which, quick math, 113 divided by 12 is basically 9.4 years. I'm going to have this house paid off free and clear if I have not resold it prior to that time frame. So anyway, if you're presenting creative offers, if you get a seller that says, hey, I want a balloon, don't say no, just say, what if? And the way I started the conversation was, listen, I know you don't want to have to chase me, you don't want to have to worry about anything, and let's just say I pay you on time every time, and I'm not I jokingly say, if I'm not a pain in your butt, and I haven't resold the property at that point, just so you know there's some motivation for me to do so, how about I start increasing my payments? So I kind of, jokingly build a little bit of rapport by saying, if I'm not a pain in your butt, if I do all these things, so I'm future pacing the scenario 5 years out. If I do everything I say I'm going to do, if you don't have to chase me, will you? So I'm not committing to doing anything. I'm just saying, if I did this, would you? And he agreed to that. So I didn't have to come up with a big principal chunk. I basically just have an escalated payment amount, and it got me past that objection of, one, getting seller financing, two, getting zero interest seller financing, and three, having to come up with a balloon. It got me past that. So if you're in that scenario, if you get a seller that wants a balloon, think ahead. Don't just say yes. Figure out how you can negotiate past that balloon now, so you don't have to worry about it later. And assume, you could say, I will agree to a 5-year balloon if you do this, if I haven't sold it in 5 years, and if I have not missed a payment, and if you haven't had to chase me, and if I've maintained the property like I say I'm going to do, which is really what you're agreeing to in the first place, would you extend if I need it? So hypothetically, now you really have nothing to lose there, and the other backup plans are, again, basically agree to making a principal payment at that time, a big chunk of money, which is less desirable. Or maybe, if you're doing interest, maybe escalate the interest rate or do something like that. I mean, a transverse case was, if you didn't want to affect your cash flow, right now I have principal only financing. After 5 years, maybe we could, do exactly the opposite. We could completely flip it over and say, if I haven't sold at that point, I'll still make you the $900 payment, but now it's all, it's 100% interest only. So there's some incentive for me to get it resold at that point. But either way, you've got a really good deal. You don't back yourself into a position where you might potentially, be scrambling to do something, because who knows what financing is going to be like. I don't want to put myself where I have to go get a loan. I haven't been to a bank to get a loan since 2008. Doesn't mean I don't have good credit, but it doesn't mean I want my business to rely on somebody else's decision at the bank on whether or not this deal is going to happen or not. So anyway, hope that helps you. Hope you get a little bit out of that video. And if you want to, I like to create this YouTube channel to keep it as active as possible. I like to help you guys out in any way I can. But do me one favor. If you've got a good question, post it on my profile or post it on one of the videos. Don't just send me a private message. Look, I'd love to help you all, but I've got, right now as I'm making this video, I got around 2,000 subscribers, and I just can't answer everyone privately. But if you send me a message on the forum or on a comment on one of these videos, the good news is, if you have a good question, I respond to just about every question on here if you look through the posts, and that way everyone else will get the benefit of a good question that you would post up there. So I hope you can respect that, and let's make this the best real estate investing channel out there. Thanks again. This is Michael J.